Hey everyone, so today's video is a little bit overdue. I've been telling you for a while that I wanted to film a video sharing my favorite Milani products. I would say over maybe the past year, I've tried a lot of products from the brand, and the brand has been around for a while. I've had products from the brand in my collection for a while, but I feel like it's always been a little bit of an underrated brand, and they make a lot of great products. So as I sat down to film this video, I was pulling out all of the Milani products I've tried, and I had a lot. I think I have like 20 different products. So I thought I would just do a full overview of the brand and share my favorite products from the brand and also the ones that didn't work for me. That way, if we have similar skin types, similar makeup preferences, hopefully this is a little bit more helpful than just a favorites video. So I think I actually have 20 different products to share with you guys in today's video. I want to do a full face of Milani, so please let me know in the comment section below what products I should try, because there are still a lot of products that I haven't tried, and then I'll place an order and test out some new products and also use my favorites in an upcoming video where I use all Milani products. So let's jump into it. I think I'll start with cheek products because my favorite products from the brand would definitely be their cheek products. So I think one of the first products that I ever tried from the brand was one of their baked blushes, and I think it was the shade Luminoso. This is not the original one that I purchased because I think I did declutter it a few years ago and then I repurchased it, but I've recently added a few new shades to my collection, so I'll swatch the colors that I do have, but I love this formula. Sometimes baked products can be a little bit dry or they lack pigment, and that is not the case with their blushes. Their baked blushes just apply so beautifully. They're very blendable and smooth. They have a little bit of shimmer in them, so they give your cheeks a very glowy, natural look, but I think they look so pretty. They don't look overly powdery like other powder products or even other baked products. They just glide on effortlessly, and some of them are very, very pigmented. They have a really good shade range, so whether you're looking for something a little bit more subtle or a little bit more intense, you're going to be able to find it within their baked blushes. So if you like powder blushes, I think you'll like these. The nice part is that they're not overly powdery. They're just very lightweight, really natural. They're definitely a good alternative to the Hourglass Ambient Lighting blushes. Before I get into a few other baked products, I did want to mention the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Blushes. So I have tried so many cream blushes this year. Every brand seems to be releasing their version of a cream blush, and there are so many different formulas out there, but I like this one because it's a very easy to work with formula. I think whether you have dry skin or oily skin, you will enjoy this. I only have one shade. I'm planning on picking up a little bit more of like a light pink because this isn't a shade that I would wear all the time, but this is a very rich shade. You can build it up to be really intense or you can sheer it out, but I like this formula because it's easy to work with. Whether you use a brush or a sponge or even your fingers, it applies perfectly and it stays in place all day long. A lot of cream blushes lift the foundation underneath or they look patchy and uneven. This is a little bit more of like an oily texture, which wouldn't sound appealing if you have oily skin, but it really works. It just glides on foundation so nicely. You can obviously use it on bare skin as well. And again, they have really pretty colors. I think they have 6 shades, but they have lighter shades, deeper shades, brighter shades. So if you're looking for a good cream blush formula, these are definitely one of my favorites. So I recently tried the Milani Baked Highlighter. I picked this up because someone on TikTok was saying that it was a dupe for Becca's Champagne Pop. I do feel like the textures are a little bit different. Becca's formula is a little bit softer, and this is obviously like a true baked product. So it feels a little bit dry when you touch it, but it looks so good on the skin. I never thought a baked highlighter would look this good on the skin because, again, for some reason I have this feeling that baked cheek products are going to look a little bit dry, but that's not the case with this one. I would say that this one looks like the Becca highlighters on the skin. It just feels a little bit different when you actually touch the product. But it's super lightweight, it glides on the skin beautifully, and it gives you such a beautiful glowy finish. So if you are looking for a good alternative to the Becca highlighters, because Becca is going out of business this fall, these might be a great option. Don't let the whole baked aspect scare you off from trying them out. They really do look so good on the skin. I have to say I didn't really like their highlighter duo. I thought that I was going to love this and not like the baked highlighter, but it actually turned out to be the opposite. So this comes with 2 products. You get kind of like a cream to powder formula and then a powder formula. Now the powder in here is a little bit too intense for me. So this comes down to personal preference, but it looks pretty metallic on the skin. It doesn't really blend into my skin. It looks like it's sitting on top. So when I apply it, you see like a very obvious stripe of metallic highlighter. If you like something super intense, that might actually appeal to you. The cream to powder formula is almost too subtle. So I feel like you get something very, very subtle and something very intense in this duo, which again could work out in your favor, but I feel like I kind of want something in between. And when I layer them together, it just doesn't look good. It looks very heavy on my skin, very textured. So the texture for some reason when it comes to this duo just doesn't look great on my skin type. But if you have very smooth skin, especially in your cheek area, you might like the versatility of this product. I do have two bronzers from Milani, one that I like a little bit better than the other one, but I do enjoy both of them. So the one that I like a little bit better is their baked bronzer. I love this formula. It is so lightweight, so perfect for everyday wear, especially if you want something very subtle, very natural on the skin. I think that if you have tried their baked blushes, you'll probably know how this is going to apply because it basically applies in the same way. It just gives your skin a very subtle, natural glow, which is why I like this. If you're looking for something really intense, you'll probably want to skip over this formula. But for me, it's been perfect because a lot of bronzers end up looking patchy or muddy or uneven on my skin. And that's not the case with this one. It really is my go-to, especially during the spring and heading into the summer. I can't imagine I'll really reach for anything other than this one because it just gives your skin like a perfect sun-kissed look. If glowy bronzers aren't your thing, they also have a matte bronzer formula. So when this first came out, I think a lot of people were comparing it to the Fenty bronzer formula. And it's funny because I did purchase this and I didn't end up liking it. I felt like it wasn't blendable or it looked a little bit patchy on me, but I ended up repurchasing it again, maybe like a year later because so many people were raving about it and I did end up liking it. So I never say this, but I think maybe I got a bad one originally because it feels very different than it did the first time I tried it. It's very silky, very, very lightweight. It is a completely matte bronzer, so it's not going to add any shimmer to your skin. I have the shade Sunkissed, and this one is nice because it's not warm toned. It's almost a little bit cool toned. I would say it's more of a neutral bronzer, so it really doesn't add a lot of warmth to the skin. It just kind of adds some dimension. So typically I'll kind of use this if I want to contour. So this one is a nice option. I don't like it as much as the baked bronzer because when I wear bronzer, I usually want something that just kind of warms up my skin, gives me a really natural glow. But on days where I do want a matte bronzer, this one does come in handy. Okay, so let's move on to the complexion category. So there are a few complexion products that I like, but I feel like when it comes to their complexion products, there are a few more that haven't worked out for me compared to the cheek product category. So they do have 3 foundations. They might actually have a skin tint as well. I have tried 2 of their foundations. So a long time ago, I tried the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer, and I actually used to really like that back in the day. I went for like a completely full coverage look every single day. I would wear an intense full coverage foundation, concealer, and powder, and my preferences have changed a little bit. So at the time, I did really like that foundation, but I felt like once I started reaching for something a little bit lighter, more of like a medium coverage foundation, that one was a little bit too much for me. I felt like there were days where I would wear it and my skin would look a little bit more textured, the foundation would look a little bit heavy and cakey. So if you do like really full coverage foundations, you might enjoy that formula because it covers everything. Whether you're dealing with redness or acne scarring or current breakouts, it really is going to conceal them so well. But if you do prefer more of a natural skin-like finish, I would skip that one altogether. I know they have the Screen Queen foundation. I did purchase that, but I got the wrong shade, so I need to repurchase it in my correct shade and try it out. That one's supposed to be a little bit more skin-like, and it sounds really nice. So I do plan on trying that at some point, but for me at this point, the 2-in-1 Conceal and Perfect foundation just isn't for me. The other foundation that I tried actually not too long ago is the Cream to Powder foundation, and I had such high hopes for this one because initially it applies really nicely. It does give you more of like a natural finish, but you can build it up in areas where you need a little bit more coverage, and it does dry down to more of a powder finish. But the issue with this one is that it almost makes my oily skin look dry because it does have more of that powder finish, but that finish actually enhances breakouts and texture, which I do deal with because I do have acne prone skin. And I think if you have very smooth skin, if you have normal skin, this might actually work well for you. But I would say if you deal with any sort of dryness or breakouts, you're probably going to want to skip over this because instead of gliding over those areas, it's really going to cling to them and enhance them. There is one complexion product that I really do love. This is the Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer. It kind of surprised me that I loved this so much because I really didn't like the foundation from the same line, but this is really just like one of my go-to concealers. It is a pretty full coverage concealer that dries down to more of a matte finish, but it conceals everything. It stays in place extremely well. So I like to use it as a spot concealer. I also like to use it under my eyes because even though it is more of a matte finish, it doesn't look dry or heavy on the skin. And like I said, it does last all day long. So I'll just take a little bit, blend it out, set it with powder, and I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about my concealer moving or creasing or smudging throughout the day. It really does stay in place so well. I recently picked up the Milani No Pore Zone Primer. This didn't work out for me. It says that it is a mattifying primer, and it also says that it kind of blurs pores. So I would say that part of it is true. If you deal with really large pores, I have really large pores around my nose, this is going to glide right over them. So when you apply foundation on top, they just look blurred and evened out, which is really nice. But it's definitely not a mattifying primer. In fact, when I use this, my skin looks extremely oily a lot faster than it does when I don't use this product. So I would say if you have dry skin or normal skin, you might like this pore smoothing, pore blurring primer. But if you have oily skin, stay away from it. They do claim that it is a mattifying primer, but that's just not the case. They have quite a few primers, so I am planning on trying out, I think their brightening primer. I hear a lot of people raving about that one. I might try out their hydrating primer too, but this one just didn't work out for me, unfortunately. I also picked up their powder, their Make It Last setting powder not too long ago. I have translucent light to medium. So I feel like I've tried almost every powder out there at this point, at least every powder from the drugstore. I mean, there are so many, but I love powder, which is a little bit of a boring makeup product. But because I do have oily skin, I feel like I'm always looking for like the next best powder. And I like the texture of this one because it is very lightweight. So it doesn't leave your skin looking powdery. It's not heavy or cakey, but I don't find that it does anything exceptional for my skin. I don't love to use this as like a full setting powder because I do find that when I use this to set my foundation into place, it will move around a little bit and it will crease and it just won't look as smooth and even as I would like it to. But I typically do use it as more of a finishing powder. I'll just kind of blend all of my makeup together with this and that seems to work well for me. I don't think I'll end up repurchasing this once I use it up, and it works okay as a touch-up powder, but for me, there are just so many powders out there that I feel like this one isn't anything special. But if you're looking for a very lightweight, loose powder and you love Milani, then this one could appeal to you, especially if you have normal skin. But if you have really oily skin, you might want to opt for something a little bit more mattifying. Okay, let's talk about some eye products. So I have tried some Milani eyeshadow palettes, but it's been a while. All of the palettes that I've tried at this point are no longer available on the website, so that'll tell you how long it's been since I've tried a new eyeshadow palette from the brand. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. I do want to pick one up so I can do that full face of Milani. I do have one eye and cheek palette that I purchased not too long ago. This is their all-inclusive palette, and they do have two. They have a light to medium and then a medium to deep. So I do have the light to medium palette. I do have a video on my channel where I used this palette for like a quick and easy look. If you want to check it out, I'll link it in the description box below. I will say that I have found myself reaching for this palette more than I thought I would. When I initially tried it, I thought that it was a pretty good palette. I felt like the eyeshadows were powdery, and that's still the case, but I like them for like an everyday look because they do blend out so well. And then the cheek products actually have a lot of pigment to them, so you can build them up to be pretty intense, or you can use a light hand and go in with more of a sheer layer. But this really is like a nice all-in-one palette on days where I don't want to think about what I need to do. On days when I don't want to think about like which products I need to do a coordinating makeup look. On days where I just want to throw my makeup on and get out the door, this is perfect because everything in here goes so well together, and I know the products perform nicely. So I am impressed by this. I didn't think that I would like it as much as I do, but it really is one of my favorite products for quick and easy makeup. I also love the Milani eyeshadow primer. It took me forever to try this for some reason, and I don't know why because I feel like it was recommended over and over. I finally picked it up. I think it's because I just go through eyeshadow primer very slowly, but this reminds me a lot of the Urban Decay Primer Potion. In my mind, they're pretty much interchangeable. This one is a lot less expensive, so it is a great option if you're looking for just an inexpensive eyeshadow primer from the drugstore. It's not going to do anything to really enhance your eyeshadow, but it just creates a nice smooth base before you go in with anything. So as long as that's what you're looking for, I think you'll be happy with this. I recently tried the highly rated mascara. I got a lot of recommendations to try this, but for some reason it just doesn't do a lot for my lashes. This kind of reminds me of the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes mascara. I recently tried that one again. It had been maybe years since I used it. So I would say if you like that mascara, you might like this one. I like that one, but it's not my favorite, but I know a lot of people do enjoy that. So I feel like this one could potentially be a dupe. This one is great at just kind of defining the lashes, but it doesn't necessarily make them look super long or super voluminous. I would say it gives you like a nice natural look. It separates them well, and that's pretty much it. I personally like really dramatic mascaras to the point where my lashes even look a little bit clumpy. I'm totally okay with that. But if you don't have that same feeling, if you like something that just separates and defines and looks a little bit more natural, then you might prefer this formula. It doesn't smudge or flake, but for me, it's not a special enough formula that I would end up repurchasing it, because there are so many good mascaras out there, and I just didn't love this one. I did try the Tank eyeliner from Milani, and I ended up decluttering that one because I felt like the product came out too quickly. I still, after all these years, have a hard time with liquid liner. It ends up getting really dramatic really fast, and I have found pens that I really like, and I felt like the Milani Tank liner was nice because it was like a very saturated eyeliner, so it did come out really easily, but almost a little bit too easily, because I felt like before I knew it, my wing was just way too big and way too dramatic. If you feel like a lot of eyeliners are difficult to work with and you have to drag them across the eyelid to get them to show up, the Tank eyeliner might actually appeal to you. It did stay in place really well. I definitely found that it was waterproof. It didn't smudge or smear at the end of the day. I just couldn't get the hang of it. I felt like every time I used it, my eyeliner was just over the top. So that's the reason why I didn't like it. It's kind of like a weird reason, but I do think that if you like really dramatic liquid liner, you might enjoy it. I do really like the Milani Stay Put eyeliners. These are just retractable pencil liners. I love using these on the waterline when I want a fun pop of color. They also work really nicely on the upper lash line as well, and they stay in place. The nice part about these is when you initially apply them, they're still very soft, so you can totally smudge them out, and they do come with like a little bit of a sponge on the other side to help you really blend them into the lash line. But once they dry down, they don't move. You really do get the best of both worlds with this formula, because I feel like a lot of the time when an eyeliner is creamy, it doesn't dry down, so it ends up smudging and smearing. Or if an eyeliner stays in place, it's a little bit more difficult to blend out. These are so good. I definitely want to pick up another few shades in these because I'm so impressed by the quality of them. And I got recommended to try these so many times. So thank you to you guys who told me to try these out, because they really are some of the best pencil liners I've tried. I purchased the Milani Precision Brow Pencil. I feel like at this point there really isn't a need to spend a ton of money on a brow pencil because there are so many great options at the drugstore, and this one does work really well for me. I have the shade 140 medium brown. I feel like I could go a little bit darker just because this one is a little bit more subtle, which is why I don't reach for it as much as some other brow pencils in my collection, but the actual quality is great. It fills in my brows well, it stays in place well, and I do enjoy using it. More than that, I really enjoy using the Milani Weekend Brow. This is the second eyebrow pen that I ever tried. For years, I only used Urban Decay's Brow Blade, and I still really love that one because it is a dual-ended pencil, so it's just very convenient. But this pen is almost a little bit easier to use. I feel like the tip is a little bit more tapered, so when I use this to create like those brow-like strokes, it looks a little bit more natural. So if you've tried a lot of brow pens and you feel like they're too pigmented or too liquidy and you need something a little bit softer, you might like the Weekend Brow Pen. The only downside is this only comes in 3 shades. So if you have very light brows, or you're a redhead, or you have really dark brows, there might not be a shade that will work well for you. And a brand like NYX actually has like 10 or 11 shades. So I do feel like Milani could expand the shade range in their brow pen and some of their other products as well. I think they do a pretty good job with their complexion products, their liquid complexion products, and their blushes are amazing, but I do feel like some other products are maybe lacking, like, their brow pen, even their bronzers. I feel like they used to have more bronzer shades, and then I was on the website the other day and I didn't see as many. So I don't know if they were out of stock or they discontinued some of the shades, but the quality is amazing. So I would love to see additional shades in quite a few categories too. I actually only have one lip product to share with you. A long time ago, I used to have the Color Statement lipsticks. They had cream versions and matte versions, and I really liked them, but they got old and I decluttered them, and I just never ended up repurchasing them because I've always had a lot of lipstick in my collection. So I might need to try those out, or they're new. They have like those really pretty lipsticks that come in like the studded packaging. Those look really nice too. But I do love the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumpers. I only have one right now. I can't find my other one, but these are so good. They're very glossy, very shiny. They do give your lips a really full appearance, and I actually reach for these kind of interchangeably with the Fenty Gloss Bombs. I think that this is the closest dupe that I've found to the Fenty Gloss Bombs. They feel very similar, they look very similar, and they're great. They're a lot less expensive than Fenty. They don't come with as much product, but honestly, if you're anything like me, it takes forever to go through a lip product. So it's nice to be able to purchase one of these for under $10 if there is a shade that kind of matches up with Fenty that you like better. Also, these aren't scented like Fenty. These almost have like a slight vanilla scent. It's not really noticeable once it's on the lips, and it's very, very subtle. The Fenty glosses have like, I don't even know, like, is it a strawberry scent? It's very strong. I personally love it, but I know not everyone does. So if that is a reason why you don't like Fenty, maybe try out the Milani glosses. So that's everything I have to share with you guys in today's video. That is just my overview on all of the Milani products that I've tried or that I have in my collection. So I hope today's video was helpful. Please let me know in the comment section below what your favorite products are from the brand, because I would love to do a full face of Milani. I think I almost have enough products for a full face. I'm just missing like an eyeshadow palette, a foundation, maybe a couple of other things. So let me know what I should try out next. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.